Hello, everyone. It's Father Brendan here. I come to you after a few days having a break from making videos. Even though our celebrations and liturgies this year for Easter were on a reduced kind of scale, there was still a lot going on behind the scenes. So I've had to take a few days just to have a bit of a rest, have a bit of a breather, and also to catch up on all those things that I still come by my way, even though I've been more focused on Easter the last few days. However you spent your Easter, I hope it was a very blessed time, a very happy and joyful time. Even though you may not have been able to celebrate it in the way that you would wanted to celebrate it, or even to celebrate with the people you would have wanted to celebrate it with. Hopefully, despite all that, the light, the peace, and the joy of the risen Christ will still be ever more in our lives, especially in a time when we need it even more, and especially through our lives for a world that needs it even more too. I'm coming to you today on Easter Friday. It's a bit of a special day of the year for those of us who try to do some penance every Friday by abstaining from meat, etc. But Easter Friday is the only Friday, is the guaranteed Friday every year, but we don't have to do that because Easter is such a big kind of celebration. We don't just celebrate for just on Easter Sunday, but even this first whole week after Easter, we celebrate each day as if it is Easter Sunday. So it's the only Friday of the year that we definitely don't, that we can count on, the Friday after Easter Sunday, that we don't need to abstain from meat. But of course, if other special days fall on a Friday, like Christmas, etc., then of course we also don't need to abstain from meat on those days. But Easter Friday is the one guaranteed Friday every year that we have, and it's a great day to celebrate. But even though we are in the midst of the Easter season, there can still feel a little bit of the Good Friday really with us, particularly because we are still under restrictions at the moment. We still can't meet in our churches. We still don't have masses together, etc. And in a sense, it feels like we're still doing a bit of penance, even though it's the Easter season. But part of why we do penance is that it is good for us in quite a few different ways. One way is that it helps us to remember the sufferings that Jesus endured for us and for love of us as well. On another level, it helps us to also be conscious of the sufferings of other people. And as we can imagine during this time of the pandemic, even though at least for now, the virus hasn't hit our country and our people as hard as other countries, it's good for us, even in this time, when we are under restrictions, etc., to think of other people who are suffering as well around the world, even more than us. People who are isolated because they have the virus, or because they are being treated for the virus, or because they've become infected with the virus as well. People who can't even go to see their loved ones in the hour of need. We think of people who feel lonely and feel desperate in these times because of the economic effects of the pandemic and the lockdowns as well. And we especially think of those as well who are working very hard at the moment, whether they be in healthcare, in politics, or in other essential kind of services as well. Even in this time when we feel like we're still doing penance, we wonder why. For us as Christians, we believe that even when penance comes to our way, whether we choose to take it or it finds us instead, like now, we can still make it very meaningful and very useful as well, even on a spiritual level. So while we are in the Easter season, it's good for us as well to really embrace at least spiritually the sufferings of others at this time, just as the risen Christ rose in a glorified body that could no longer die or feel pain and could even walk through walls, etc. That he still decided to rise from the dead, still bearing the scars and the wounds and the marks of his crucifixion in many ways, even though we've come through now to Easter season, that we still carry with us in our hearts a lot of the people who are doing it very tough, and even tougher than we are right now around the world, even as tough as we're going through things ourselves at this time. But even though we still, in this life, walk through the valley of darkness, we are Easter people, and Alleluia is our song. So, and part of the beauty of the Easter season is that we celebrate Easter not just on Easter Sunday for one day or even for a whole week, but we celebrate it for 7 weeks, for 50 days. And so even though we may be under restrictions, even for that whole Easter season this year, let's really live each day as Easter people, and to make Alleluia our song throughout this whole time, not just probably in our words, but even so by our lives, that we will always have trust and confidence in God's will throughout this time, that He will look after us and that He will care for us, and hopefully being inspired by God's love for us, we can also be people of charity towards other people, that we can look beyond our needs to look at the needs of others, and really in that way, really share the joy, the peace and the love of Easter with all the world around us, and even in our own community here in the Goldfields.